Hello and welcome back. Today we've got another English whiskey from the English Whiskey Company in Norfolk. This is the English Whiskey Heavily Smoked Cask Fusions. There are the details there on the front of the box, but I will go over the important bits. A little close up of the back there as well. So this is part of the English Whiskey Company's small batch range. So it's kind of their mid-tier in between the core range expressions and the red line single cask strength. So being part of the small batch range, it's bottled at 46% ABV. We know that it's non-chill filtered. Doesn't say anything on the bottle or the label as far as I can see. We know that it is non-chill filtered purely because it says so on the back of the box. As for being natural colour, who knows? It is my real pet hate of the English Whiskey Company that they used to put it on every expression. They have since stopped. If you ask, they will tell you that everything's natural colour. Just a real disappointment that they don't guarantee it on the label anymore. But moving on, being from the small batch range, this is a small batch, and we're told on the label of this one that it's a batch of 1002 bottles. So when English Whiskey Company say that something's small batch, they really mean it. We have got a distillation date and a bottle date on here, and the casks were filled in October 2012, and this was bottled in September 2024. It's a fairly recent release, and as of recording this, I'm recording this in June 2025, it is still available. Hopefully if you like the sound of it from this review and you want one, you'll be able to find one. Obviously, being English Whiskey Company, it is a very, very, very small distillery. So if you live somewhere where things like this are a little bit harder to find, it's going to be a challenge. But hopefully those of you that want this will be able to find it, and this review may be of some use. So from those two dates on the label, we know that this is 11 years and 11 months old, which seems to be a common thing with the English Whiskey Company. They like to bottle things 1 or 2 months short of being kind of a milestone age statement. I guess that's kind of saying that age statements don't really matter. Obviously age does matter, but English Whiskey Company, they quite often don't put straight age statements on things. Instead they tell you the relevant information of when it was made and bottled, so you can make your own decision. As for what this whiskey is, we are told that it is a secret mix of 4 different casks, because they essentially make a point of not telling you what the casks are that have been used for this one. They're obviously trying to be a little bit cute, similar to Bruichladdich Black Art maybe. Kind of withholding details to try and add a little bit of an air of mystery, which, I'll be honest, really, really annoys me. I bet if you went to the distillery and asked them, they'd say that it's a trade secret or something like that. I call bullshit on that. The list of potential casks that could have gone into this isn't that long. And in my opinion, if you want to sell £75 small batch whiskey, then you owe us the details. This is a craft distillery making 1,000 bottle batches in 2025. A very large percent of the English Whiskey Company's customer base are us enthusiasts who really care about the details. So please stop it. Anyway, English Whiskey Company Heavily Smoked Cask Fusion. Let's get some in the glass and see what it's like. And I might even tell you. Or I might keep my thoughts secret and you have to guess for yourself. That's how it works, isn't it? You may have also noticed that the bottle, they've changed the bottles. The neck of the bottle is smaller, the cork stopper is smaller as well. Just compare it to my Infinity bottle, which is in an old style English Whiskey Company decanter bottle. You'll be able to see that they've changed. Not a huge difference, but I don't know if that's a cost-saving thing, that they've made everything a little bit less chunky. Seems a little bit less premium feeling. Anyway, I'm sure that the new bottles and new corks are perfectly suitable. Please don't drop that. English Whiskey Company Cask Fusions on the nose. Very bright, very sweet, A very sweet and tart fruitiness on the nose of this one. Strong note of gooseberry, orange and lime, and a little bit of a confectionery wine gums note. Quite chocolatey too, a little bit of a note of advent calendar chocolate, as well as a healthy dollop of peat with some antiseptic bandages in there. Some really nice ashy smokiness. A little bit of a note in there, kind of like when you pour water on a dying barbecue, like a charcoal barbecue to put it out. A little bit of a wood bonfire note. Very, very peated. Some spicy oak, sugary ginger wine, as well as some milk chocolate strawberries on the nose. So really nice, complex, bold, pleasant and interesting nose. Let's see how it tastes. Again, I think with pretty much every English Whiskey Company whiskey that I've tried, and I've tried dozens and dozens because it is my local, you get a really strong, bright and fruity maltiness. Really lovely, rich and bold. Wonderful depth and heft just to the malted barley component of this whiskey, and with any English Company whiskey. Quite a firm oakiness on this one as well, which isn't something that I'm always a massive fan of, but in this one I think it's quite balanced and I quite like it. Lovely firm oakiness, quite a raw and very active oakiness in this one as well, with a little bit of a fruity, reconditioned or virgin oak note. Certainly not getting a refill cask impression from this whiskey. Everything seems very fresh and active, although definitely not excessively woody. Some more orange and lime coming through on this one. Probably largely from that fruity maltiness, but probably also, I would suspect, some orangey notes coming through from possibly some Oloroso seasoned American oak casks. Quite an ashy and medicinal peat on this one, and I think that peat stands up really well to what I assume is that Oloroso cask. Being a small vatting of 4 casks, I'd imagine there's no more than 2 Oloroso casks in there. Quite an industrial and fumey and smoky side to the peat on this one as well, with a little bit of a note of, again, bonfires and firelighters, but balanced really nicely by that really bright and fruity maltiness. Excellent flavours, excellent balance. Let's have one more sip and look at the finish. Very long finish, and just full of bright fruit and dark smoke and a little bit of bitter oak on the finish. Really delicious oak spice in particular. Not too long ago, I had a little bit of a problem with kind of more active oak and especially virgin oak casks and reconditioned casks. And I think that's something that I'm becoming a little bit more acclimatized to and getting a little bit more used to. I still don't love excessively oaky whiskies. That's one of the things that I love about Scotch and the majority of English whiskey, that they tend not to be first fill or virgin oak, and you don't get that excessive oakiness, at least the majority of the time. This one has got a quite direct oakiness, but I think that it's done in moderation and with subtlety, and it's just generally not too overbearing. But as I said before, I do think that the heft and the fruitiness and just the character and boldness of the English Whiskey Company malt on this one helps to balance all of those other flavours really well. And I think that this whiskey, it really is a testament to what English whiskey can do, even at a humble age of 12 years, or nearly, give or take a few weeks anyway. I'm really pleased to say, and this probably won't mean a lot to you unless you are also sort of die-hard English Whiskey Company fans, this one reminds me a lot of the old Chapter 9, which it's probably 10 years ago now that they released the Chapter 9, or maybe a little bit more than that, and it was kind of their half-peated out of the very, very early core range releases. And the Chapter 9, and in particular the Chapter 9 cask strength, was probably my absolute favourite out of all of the early chapter releases from the English Whiskey Company. I have actually got one bottle left and I will review that soon, but really pleased to see some similar flavours coming through from this one. Very, very important though to note and acknowledge that this is just an 11-year and 11-month, essentially 12-year-old whiskey. In my opinion, this is absolutely, clearly, head and shoulders above 99% of the 12-year-old whiskies coming out of Scotland. I think it's also worth pointing out that this and a few of the other English Whisky Company releases, they are honestly very, very peaty. This is not a peated cask finish, as a lot of people assume that peated English whiskey is. It's honest English whiskey made with 57 ppm peated malt. And that peat really shows. I think that this stuff is more heavily peated than a lot of what comes out of Islay these days. And I think that that heavy peat really cuts through the cask influence in this one really nicely. It's not something that whiskey enthusiasts and Whiskey Tube really talk about at all. Very rarely that you hear anyone banging on about it. But I think that peated English Whisky Company whiskey is a real hidden gem, and it's just not talked about enough. So, yeah, secret mix of 4 casks. Despite the fact that the premise of this enrages me a little bit, it's actually very, very good. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like an Ardbeg Wee Beastie, but with an enhanced maltiness and stronger peat. And I think that because it has got that stronger peat, the peat in this one doesn't get lost in the cask influence, as in my opinion it does a little bit with the Ardbeg Wee Beastie 5-year-old. Would I buy something like this or another bottle of this because it is still available? Probably not. I think this is kind of a hill that I'm possibly choosing to die on, that if you want my money, then give me transparency. Stop pretending that it's a closely guarded secret. I think I've probably said this before and I'll say it again. If other distilleries can clone your whiskey just from your cask recipe, then what you've got isn't that special. For what it's worth, my guess on the casks that go into this would probably be Virgin Oak, Oloroso, probably ASB bourbon casks, and maybe something like a red wine cask. But whatever they've put in this, and I really wish they'd just tell us, because it's, in my opinion, it's just stupid to not tell people what you've done, not give people the details, to miss that opportunity to get people excited and talking about the whiskey. But if you are considering one of these and you think that it sounds good, I do think that you'll really enjoy it. I've been really enjoying it. I think the English Whisky Company, a great thing about them is that they do a lot of these small batch releases. Basically everything they do is a small batch release. And you really get such great things out of a mix of 2, 3, 4 casks, which often surpasses what you can do with not only large vattings, but also single cask whiskey. So I do think that this is a really, really good whiskey. I think that it's one of the best releases that I've had from English Whisky Company lately, but it pains me to support them and buy this kind of thing because of that anti-transparency. Although I am tempted, but I won't. Although I might. Honestly, I really like this, but because of that anti-transparency, I would really prefer to give my money to a distillery that gives us all the details. It's a good one though. Just don't do it again. Just give us the info. What are you scared of? Really, what is the worst that's going to happen if you tell the big wide world what 4 casks you've put in this one? They can't copy your stills or your washbacks or your malt or your peat or any of the million things that you do in between getting delivery of your malted barley and putting this in the bottle. There's so much more that goes into whiskey than just the cask recipe. Not telling us is just a little bit silly. Let me know what you think about this one if you've been lucky enough to have it. What do you think about the English Whisky Company? Have you had any of their stuff lately? And what do you think about trade secrets and secret cask recipes? Because it really feels like in today's age of whiskey enthusiasts and whiskey geekery, it seems like we should be past this kind of thing. Let me know. I look forward to talking to you in the comments. Thanks for watching, and cheers.